Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Valheim series. Today we've got a few things on the plate. First thing I'm going to tell you about is just an elected option to swap armor. We are going to be carrying two different chest pieces. One of those is the root chest piece. The other is our standard padded chest piece. Now the padded chest piece is pretty good in most situations. However, as we've discovered in the previous episode, the Seekers and Seeker Soldiers can hit very, very, very hard. So any advantages that I can get, I'm going to take those up. The advantage with the root chest is it makes us resistant to piercing attacks. So we'll see how well that performs later. In the meantime, I'm just showing the little bit of extra cooking I've been doing off camera. There's a couple of bits of Ida food there. Not much point in going through those at this stage because I've got no equipment to go with it. But we're still, in terms of normal hit point and stamina foods, we've added a few, mushroom omelets and things like that. Not in any real quantities at this stage because I'm still getting my farming up to speed. But stay tuned, that doesn't take very long. So easily by next episode I'll start to have a reasonable excess of food available as I get on top of egg supply and chickens and all that other good stuff that's currently just building up. Now, in the meantime, we've zoned back out to our exploration portal here on top of what used to be a dungeon. We cleared this dungeon reasonably successfully in a previous episode. We're just going to put a little portal marker here. If you haven't been a big fan or a big exponent of leaving markers on the map, Mistlands will change your mind on that. Because your long distance visibility in Mistlands is basically non-existent. I mean, there are times where if you can get up high, you can see a fair distance. But down here at ground level, you're basically blind 90% of the time. And so if you're not leaving markers on the map, you are going to run circles around yourself on a regular basis because it is really difficult navigating in Mistlands. So don't be shy about your map markers. They may save you a bit of hassle later on when you go back and you're thinking, oh, I need some armor, or I need to go and find the nearest Diverger tower, or, things like that. Very, very important in Mistlands because there's some stuff that you're not going to be able to run at the start, but by the time you get your mage gear on the go, you're going to want to come back and do those later. Don't worry, when things like that start happening, I will update you with those things. In the meantime, we've had a Seeker Soldier show up at this tower, along with a couple of Seekers. I'm actually not that bothered, because as you can see there is a 2-star Diverger Mage. And I'm going to say, those guys hit really hard, and I am not in a hurry to make any of these guys my enemies just yet. So if you're in the middle of nowhere in the Mistlands and you need to AFK and you come across a Diverger tower, just lock yourself inside. You'll usually be okay for at least a couple of minutes. And if there is at least 1 or 2 Diverger mages that are at least 1 star, there isn't going to be very much that will come along and ruin your day. But as with most places in Valheim, I wouldn't AFK for too much of an extended period. A few minutes at a time, you'll probably get away with that in a Diverger tower. So anyway, the action's kind of moved on a bit. So I will issue my usual suggestion that you strap in. Grab your high visibility jacket so we don't lose sight of you in all of this mist, and sit back and enjoy the spectacle that is Mistlands. And we didn't have to wait long to get some more action. Here is another Jarl. Except this one is a 1-star Jarl, and he has a few Seeker friends who are backing him up. This 1-star Jarl, I wouldn't even pretend to try and solo one. Certainly not with this level of gear. I would be running the other way. But with all of these lovely Diverga kicking the living stink out of him, I'm happy to hang around and help out all I can. In fact, he is about to die. But the Jarl has also done me a bit of a favour. And he's allowed, through damage to this tower, as you can see, he has broken quite a lot of the tower and knocked a hole in the ceiling as well. It's broken up a lot of these little boxes and chests that the Diverga have, and there are some really handy things to be had in here. Now, if you try and attack any of this stuff yourself, the Divergas will kick your backside, you know, from here until next Sunday. But if it gets destroyed by something else, you can come along and loot it, and it's not a problem. Now, the two big things that I've got out of this is the Diverga extractor thing, which you can see has got a no teleport item on it, and the soft tissue. The extractor, we are going to, a little bit later this episode, we're going to be erecting that on one of these routes, except back closer to the farm. And we use that to extract, see, I'm just showing you there now, you use that to extract sap out of these roots. And the sap plus the soft tissue in the refinery is how you make refined ITER. I will go into that in more detail when I've got the resources to make the refinery. As at the date of me recording this commentary, I still don't have what I need to actually make an ITER refinery. You actually need 5 black cores, and to date I've only got 4. So it looks like it's going to be one of those kind of battles with Mistlands, but don't worry, you'll be there every step of the way. Now, I found myself another Zeppelin playmate here. This one is not a 1-star though, it's just a regular Jarl. And that's the big heavy fire attack that you've normally got to watch out for, but the terrain did me a solid there and blocked it. It wouldn't have killed me, but it certainly would have hurt even with my fire resist potion running. Now we're just doing a little bit of exploring here, and yeah, ticks will be ticks. They are always around, so always have your trusty sledgehammer on standby for dealing with them. But they die equally easily with an arrow. Okay, you might have heard Birdie Num Num show up there, and that's because where there's a rib cage, you'll often see one of these skulls. These skulls are also where you get soft tissue. Additionally, this is the other way of getting black marble, because the petrified bone is actually made out of black marble. It does tend to, you know, wear on your pickaxe a bit, which is why I just tend to knock towers over to get more black marble. It's a little bit quicker and easier, but you're inevitably going to get a bit of black marble in your never-ending, and I do mean that literally, your never-ending quest to get more soft tissue to make more ida. This demand does not go away, not by a long shot, with the completion of the Mistlands biome. There is a lot of ida requirements and uses when you go down to Ashlands. So part of my series and part of my development in Mistlands this time round, I am going to be focusing very, very heavily on, if possible, and I still don't think this is possible, but if possible, I'm going to be gathering as much materials and making as much refined ida as is humanly possible, and then probably making some more beyond that. When it becomes quite pedestrian, I probably won't bother recording it. I'll just give you a bit of a verbal update. But for the moment, you get to be here for all of the gory action. Right, well, this is another type of site run by Diverger. And it's like a archaeology camp kind of thing. It doesn't always have a skull in the middle of it. Sometimes it has a rib cage instead. But any of the ones that have a skull in them, I do suggest you mark it. Now, at the moment, I can't quite remember if mining the skull actually aggroes the Diverger or not. For the moment, I'm just going to play it safe and just mark it for now. Later, when I feel up to it, I will be revisiting all of these sites where there are skulls, and I will be doing my darndest to absolutely destroy all the Diverger there so that I can loot up all of the good stuff. Now, we've moved on a bit further, and this episode we've just done a bit of a broad circle in kind of the southern part of the Mistlands that's near the farm. We had a bit of action, you know, a couple of Jarls, a few Seekers, just enough to keep us on our toes. Loot-wise, we've done pretty well. And we've almost got all the way back to the farm now. Right, we've left the Diverger extractor behind because we're going to be using it here anyway, and you just can't teleport it. Now we're just going to jump back to base, We're going to unload everything, do our repairs, and now we need some black metal. That's one of the materials that goes into making the sap extractor. And while I do have black metal up at the Plains farm, which is geographically a lot closer than coming all the way back here, it hasn't been smelted. And of course, black metal can't be smelted in a normal smelter. It needs the fancy one. And the fancy one needs iron to build it. And I don't have enough iron up there. So if I'm going to be transporting iron up there, I may as well just transport the black metal and be done with it. I only need 5 black metal per sap extractor, so I'm just bringing up enough for 10. I figure 10 sap extractors is way more than what I've ever had before, and definitely ticks enough boxes for me to consider it to be sufficiently overkill. On our way back up here, of course, we have our local serpents that like to check in and insist, you know, quite firmly that I kill them so I can get some more serpent meat. And, well, far be it for me to say no to a nice and polite serpent. And sure enough, half a dozen arrows or so, and I'm coming back to pick up all that lovely serpent meat. And I am still actually using serpent stews, so never gonna say no to that. Alright, so we've now arrived up at the tower on Elder Island. We're just going to unload most of the metal into here, and then we're going to transport some of it up north. On my way up there, I did see this 1-star troll. And does anyone want to guess how many arrows it takes to kill a 1-star troll? If you guessed more than 4, I'm sorry to disappoint you, because it only took me 4 arrows to the head to kill him. Anyway, I left this little bit in here just so you can appreciate what amazing visibility you have when you don't have your wisp out. Now, I don't have my wisp out because I have to run my belt so I can carry enough of this black metal bars. So this is where your markers on the map and your gut instinct hopefully get you to the right place. And thankfully, mine has. After a quick check of the mats required to put the sap extractor down, we've discovered that we need 10 Yggdrasil wood. Now, I've got a little bit back at the base, but look, we're here in Mistlands. There are Yggdrasil trees around, so we're just going to chop enough that we have enough for this extractor, and yeah, maybe another 2 or 3 extractors beyond that for when we get the required bits and pieces. So, a bit of rampant murdering of the local flora, and we have ourselves enough materials for a workbench. We're now going to go off and chop a few more these Yggdrasil shoots to get some more Yggdrasil wood. And once we've done that, we'll be able to get the sap extractor down. Alright, success. We have our sap extractor. It will hold up to 10 sap, and then it will stop extracting until you clear it out. You will need to check back on these fairly regularly, but it does depend on how many of them you've got on the single route and what the status of the route is. My pro tip probably wouldn't be to put more than 1 or 2 extractors per route, unless you're planning on just ignoring them for, 3 or 4 or 5 game days at a time, in which case you could probably put 3 or 4 on a route and they would still fill up by the time you came back to check on them. Alright, now we're starting to get a few more proceeds from the farm. I've worked out I've got enough that I can make a useful amount of these salads. So we're going to crank a few of those out now. Salad is a fairly decent stamina food. It's not the best in Mistlands, but it's pretty close. And materials wise, it's a lot cheaper than the next one up. So I often choose to just have the salad rather than the mushroom omelettes. But if you're planning on, doing bosses or dungeons, that is where I'd be using the best food. But when you're just running around, I find the salad is just a lot more value for money. Alright, having done some cooking, we're now got to check in on the old chicken production. As you can see there, a lot of eggs in the colder area are sparkling away, and we're able to pick those up. Actually, they're all sparkling, so the fire might have gone out, but that's alright. I'll address that in due time. But coming out and checking for eggs regularly, you're going to need to do that because they're subject to the same sort of mob cap as the chickens themselves. So if you're not regularly clearing them out, you just won't get new eggs and they'll still keep eating the food. And here we are at the end of the episode. If you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more in the future, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the notification bell. In the meantime, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching and have yourself a fantastic day.